Okay, so if you're watching this video, that means that you are contemplating using your smartphone for the next shooting assignment. And if you are, I want to go over some very important key steps that I want you to remember if you choose to use your smartphone for the shooting. The most important thing is, as always with any shooting, you always need to have your smartphone on a tripod. Any shooting device you use, whether it's a DSLR camera or your home video camera or one that you would sign out here, you always need to attach your shooting device to a tripod. We'll talk about the tripod in just a minute. So let's talk first about how to shoot with the phone itself. So typically when we take pictures, we oftentimes hold it this way. From now on, anything that you shoot with your video camera, you will hold it horizontally, okay? All shots must be done horizontally. The reason is, and I'm sure you've seen this on TV, if you were to shoot it vertically, there would be empty space here and here. To fill up the entire screen digitally, you need to be shooting in a horizontal mode. The other very important things to remember when shooting is that you can't really use your zoom in and zoom out button on here to make any type of zoom moves or pans. So we're going to do what we call a human zoom or a human pan with the cell phone. You don't want to use them too often, but basically when I'm talking about that, I mean if you wanted to zoom in on a topic, you would zoom in. And if you wanted to zoom out, you would zoom out. If you wanted to pan, you would pan from one spot to the other. All right, remember, as with any zoom in and zoom out, you don't want, or pan, you don't want to just randomly be going back and forth or in and out. You want a specific point that you're zooming from, to, and always stop with each of those things. Okay, so basically once you're shooting with the camera, it's just the smartphone, it's just like shooting with any other camera. I want you to do your shots by setting them up before you hit record. When you feel you have a good shot, hit record, count 5 or 6 seconds. When that shot is over, hit record again to stop it. Find your next shot, get it ready, hit record, shoot, and then hit record a second time to stop the shooting. So it's very simple to shoot with your smartphone as long as you remember the shooting rules for news that we discussed last week. Okay, so now we want to talk about how to stabilize the camera and the smartphone using a tripod. And we also want to talk about the very important fact that you cannot use the audio from this phone to do interviews. You're going to need a special auxiliary mic to do that. So let's first talk about how you shoot on a tripod. So you either want to purchase or come and pick up in 111C Varner some equipment. You'll need a stabilizer. This is the holder to hold the smartphone. I'll kind of turn it around this way for you. And you see that basically it just grips it. So you have something that's holding it, and this item will then attach to the tripod. I just want to show you another example. Some of them could look like this. This does the same thing as this one. These often come with the tripods themselves if you're purchasing one, okay? I would recommend that you take this off of the phone and attach it first to the tripod. So you see there's a hole for a screw, and on the top of the tripod you see there's the screw. So you simply screw it together. All right. Once you have this screwed on to the top of the head of the tripod, then go ahead and put your phone inside of it. The reason that I recommend that you do it this way is because sometimes while you're screwing, the phone might fly out of the holder. So you wait until that happens. Now you're basically all set up with your tripod. Some of the things that I want to point out about the tripod, these are much smaller tripods. They come in a very lightweight case. Even though they're smaller than the ones that you took out and much lighter than the ones you took out last week, these still have extender legs that can get up to 6 feet in height. If you extend the legs, that have double extender, and also you can extend it from there, and these also have a spindle that you can make the head go even higher. Okay, so altogether, even though these come smaller and lighter weight, once you've extended the legs and extended this part, you could actually get to the height of somebody who's 6 feet tall if you wanted to interview them. So you want this side of the camera to be facing out. This is where the actual lens of the camera is. And what you'll be seeing will be on this side. So you want to get a shot that you like. Let's say I'm trying to zoom in on that door handle. If I've gotten the shot I like, I'm on the tripod. Once I get it, I go ahead and hit record. I count my 6 seconds, and then I stop it. Then I look for my next shot. Let's say I'm looking for this cabinet over here. I get that set up, I'm ready, and then I hit record. Count my 6 seconds, and then I hit stop. Okay, so all of that is fine when you're shooting B-roll. You don't even need to worry about having a microphone attached, because the audio that you pick up from here when you're shooting your B-roll is sufficient enough to gather natural sound. But when it's time to do your interview, that's when you want to make sure that you have an external mic hooked up to somebody with the lapel or the lavalier function. So this is the one that I've recommended, Audio-Technica, and you will see that it comes in a packet that looks something like this. It comes with a microphone that looks like this at one end, an amplification box in the middle, and it comes with the plug looking like this at the other end. So for this, you want to put the plug from the microphone into the plug from this amplification for a smartphone system, and then you take this plug and you attach it into the volume space on your smartphone. Once it's in there, you then have the microphone and you attach the mic clip holder onto it. And this will then attach to the person that you're interviewing, just as you would with the other microphone that we've worked with. You do want to make sure that the amplification box that has an off and on switch is in the on mode. And then what I'd like you to do before you go and interview anybody is to go and make sure that you have it working correctly. So do a practice recording. What I've discovered as I was preparing for this is that there are many different ways it can go wrong, so let's go through just a couple of them. First of all, you want to make sure that the battery is inside of this unit and that it's inside in the proper way. It might need to be turned around one way or another. Once you make sure that you have the battery in there, you want to make sure that this on switch is in the on position. Another very important element is to make sure that you have plugged the microphone into this side and not into the side with the earphones on it. Then you want to make sure that you go ahead and plug it into your earphone jack in your camera phone. And then the last thing that you want to do is go ahead and test it. If I hit record, and I separate things and I just tap on it. Then I stop the recording. I go back and listen to it. I make sure that I take out the plug to listen back. I separate things and I just tap on it. And now I've seen that this external microphone actually picked up the sound of me tapping from a distance, which means that this is actually working. Okay, so before you do your interviews, you want to make sure that you have your microphone working and that you've tested it. You'll only need this for the interview, and then later on when we're working on the reporter package project, you'll need this for a stand-up. Okay? Other than that, when you're shooting B-roll, no need for the external microphone at all. So that pretty much covers everything that you need to know. If you're going to shoot with a smartphone, recapping, always horizontally, always have a tripod attached to it, and during your interviews, always make sure that you have a working microphone that is attached to the camera. Once you have shot with a smartphone, you can upload your files to your computer for editing any way that's easiest for you. I tend to upload them to my Google Drive and then import in the computer from my Google Drive there. Some people have a cable that will just go from their smartphone to the computer where they can download their files. Whatever system works best for you is the best way to get it into your computer, and then you can just start editing with Adobe Premiere as you would with any other files. As I mentioned, have several pieces of tripods and also the microphones that I can sign out for you. You will need to get in touch with me if you want to sign them out, so we have a comparable time that we can meet. As I've mentioned also in the email, you could go ahead and purchase one if you'd like through Amazon. The tripod, $25, $30. Same thing for the microphone, somewhere in the $20 to $30 range. And once you order on Amazon, it comes pretty quickly. So something to think about. Okay, that's it for how to shoot with a smartphone. As always, give me an email if you have any questions about things you didn't understand with it.